Imagine this. You live about 9,000 years ago in the late Stone Age. One morning near the edge of the forest, you find a wolf pup. It is still small, weak, and alone. If you leave it here, it probably will not survive. If you carry it back to the settlement, you are bringing a predator home. And here's your first mistake. You look at it and think it is almost a dog. Dogs already live beside people. They warn about strangers, follow hunters, and sleep near the fire. So, the decision seems simple. If humans once turned wolves into dogs, why could you not do the same thing again? You pick up the pup. And from that moment, an experiment begins that could end very badly. The first decision is food. The pup is too young to hunt for itself. You give it part of the meat that could have gone to your family. In the Stone Age, that is not a small sacrifice. Every piece of food has value. An animal that brings nothing back but eats every day stops being cute very quickly to everyone except you. Several people in the settlement want you to get rid of it immediately. Their reasoning makes sense. Wild wolves are competitors. They hunt the same prey. They can approach food stores. They can threaten animals that people already keep nearby. But the pup does not growl at you. It follows you. You decide to keep it. And that is the second decision. Now the goal is not just to feed it, but to make humans part of its social world. Modern studies show that wolves raised with very early and intensive human socialization can form strong bonds with people. They can learn from humans, cooperate with them, and even seek contact. So your plan is not insane. The problem is that with a wolf, it is much harder than with a dog. You spend hours with it. It sleeps nearby. It hears your voice. It knows your smell. It sees you when it eats, when it wakes up, when it is afraid. You become a familiar creature to it, maybe even a partner. After a few weeks, everything looks like a victory. The pup runs after you. It does not pull away from your hand. It plays. And this is exactly when the most dangerous part of the experiment begins. It grows. A few months later, you no longer have a fluffy little animal in front of you. You have a young wolf with powerful jaws, fast legs, and decisions of its own. Third decision, do you let it move freely through the settlement? If you tie it up, you reduce the risk, but you also damage part of the trust and restrict its natural behavior. If you let it loose, it gains access to food, children, dogs, supplies, and everything humans consider theirs. You let it go. One night you wake not because of a scream, but because the wolf is already standing. In the darkness, you still cannot see anything. It stares beyond the edge of the firelight and quietly tenses. A few seconds later, the other dogs react too. Something is moving nearby. Maybe a wild animal, maybe a person you have not noticed yet. You do not know exactly what the wolf heard or smelled, but for the first time you receive a benefit before you ever asked for one. By morning, part of the settlement sees the wolf differently. Not because it suddenly became safe, but because the risk now has a possible reward. That creates a new trap. A useful animal gets more freedom. More freedom means more chances for conflict. Now you have to decide where it sleeps, near your fire, closer to people but also closer to food. At the edge of the settlement, less risk but more distance. You keep it at the edge of the light, close enough to see you, far enough that everyone has space. This is not a romantic friendship between humanity and nature. It is a daily system of compromises. At first, nothing happens. Then the wolf steals a piece of meat. For you, that is a problem. For the wolf, it is a success. You try to take the food back, and for the first time, you hear a low growl. Not an attack, not a monster scene, just a warning. But it changes everything. You suddenly remember something obvious. The wolf has no idea what your property means. It never agreed to live by human rules. It has only learned that being near you is safe and that food is often available. You back away. And you make the fourth decision. Do not punish it with force. That matters more than it seems. If every conflict becomes a fight, you risk creating an animal that fears you or responds to pressure with even greater pressure. So you change the rules. You feed it in one specific place. You stop leaving food unattended. You do not allow children to approach while it is eating, and for a while it works. Then you have another thought. If the wolf sees better, hears better, and detects smells that you cannot even notice. Maybe it is not just another mouth to feed. Maybe it is useful. Fifth decision, take it hunting. This is the moment when the entire story could change. You leave the settlement together. In the forest, the wolf becomes a different animal. It no longer checks your face every few seconds. Its nose drops toward the ground. Its ears work independently of its head. It catches scents that do not exist for you. And suddenly it moves ahead. You follow. This does not mean that this is exactly how dog domestication began. Scientists still debate how the first stable relationship formed between humans and the ancestors of dogs. There are hypotheses about wolves staying near human camps for food. There are hypotheses about humans taking and raising wolf pups. There are models in which mutual benefit and cooperation played the central role. But one thing is clear: the social nature of wolves makes partnership possible. Wolves already know how to coordinate their behavior with other wolves. They pay attention to partners. They live in complex social groups. You do not need to create the ability to cooperate from nothing. You need to redirect it toward a human. During the hunt, the wolf notices movement before you do. It does not obey commands like a modern, well-trained dog. It acts more independently. But that is enough for you to see the possibility. When you return, people look at it a little differently. Yesterday, it was a predator you were foolishly feeding. Today, maybe it has a job. It seems like the experiment worked, but the hardest test is still ahead. The wolf becomes an adult. And now the difference between it and the dog beside your fire becomes more obvious. The dog did not need such intense persuasion from the beginning just to tolerate human life. Dogs, on average, socialize with us more easily. They are more likely to seek human contact and are better adapted to living inside our social environment. Your wolf trusts you, but you is the important word. A stranger is a completely different situation. A new smell, a new voice, an unpredictable movement. The fact that the wolf accepts one caretaker does not mean it automatically accepts all humans. And now comes the sixth decision. A strange group arrives at the settlement. One man comes too close. The wolf tenses. You notice the change before the others do. The body stiffens, the gaze locks, and suddenly distance matters. What do? You do not wait for the animal to figure it out. You move it away. It is not a dramatic victory, but it may be the smartest decision you have made the entire time. Because taming an animal does not mean erasing its nature. Now imagine that you live with this wolf for many years. It hunts beside you, it knows you, it sleeps near the edge of the settlement. Maybe it warns you about something in the darkness before any human hears a sound. You have done something remarkable, but you have not created a dog, you have tamed one wolf. And that is where the true scale of dog domestication becomes clear. Domestication is not one brave hunter finding a wolf pup and being patient enough. It is a population changing across generations. Imagine that people repeatedly keep the animals that tolerate human presence better, the ones that are less fearful, the ones that cooperate more easily, the ones that are easier to feed, manage, and breed near a settlement. The animals that cannot live that close to people simply do not become part of that chain. Repeat this not once, not 10 times, but across generations. Then it is no longer just the behavior of one animal that changes, the population itself changes. And by the time of our imagined story, that process had already happened long before. Modern genetic evidence shows that dogs were already widespread among humans in Western Eurasia more than 14,000 years ago, long before many Neolithic settlements and long before the domestication of most other animals. So a Stone Age human who decided to raise a wild wolf could already have seen real dogs nearby and still very quickly learn the difference. On the outside, they are relatives. Behaviorally, they are no longer the same thing, and that is why your experiment has such a strange ending. You did not prove that a wolf cannot be tamed, quite the opposite. You proved that it can. A wolf can recognize you, trust you, cooperate with you, and even form a strong social bond. But a dog is something more than a tamed wolf. A dog is the result of countless selections, generations, and interactions between two species. So return to that morning when you lifted the small wolf pup from the ground. You thought you had a simple task: feed it, raise it, and teach it not to fear humans. In reality, you were trying to repeat in one lifetime a process that took history thousands of years. And that is the real paradox. The amazing part is not that Stone Age humans could tame a wolf. The amazing part is that sometime very long ago, humans and wolves began an interaction that survived thousands of generations and eventually gave us an animal that now sleeps on the couch and gets offended when dinner is 5 minutes late.